All right. Hello. Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. My name is Rachel Mandelbaum. I'm a lead distributed organizer with the Sierra Club based in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm so happy you're here with us tonight to learn a little bit more about the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, what they mean for our communities, and how we can all benefit from them. So while we're just waiting for a few minutes for everyone to join us, we have tons of folks signed up tonight, so we're really excited to get going. We'd love for you to use the chat to tell us what state you're located in and why you joined our webinar tonight. So go ahead and put that in the chat. And we have folks from the Sierra Club team who are watching the chat and are going to be able to comment and respond. Welcome PJ from Ohio. Welcome MB from Albany. Jalen from New York. It's great to see you all here. And we'd love to hear also why you joined the webinar tonight. What brought you out? What work have you done with the Sierra Club to get you here? So again, we're so excited to have you here with us. And it's so great to see everybody tuning in. Karen, I want to help people access these resources. Heck yeah, that's what we're doing here tonight. So yeah, for those of you just joining us again, please use the chat to tell us where you're tuning in from, why you decided to join the webinar. And again, we're going to give folks just a few minutes to trickle in. And while we're waiting, we are actually going to share this quick 1-minute video overview of some of the benefits of the IRA and the Infrastructure Act. And once that's done, hopefully we'll have enough folks on board with us to really go ahead and get going. So, oh, the video is not ready yet. That's okay. It is ready. All right, we're going to go ahead and share that on screen. And again, you can go ahead and keep introducing yourself in the chat while it's playing. We're really happy to have you.
I didn't see you there, but while I have you, did you know that Congress passed 2 laws that will help save you money, improve your community, and reduce climate pollution? Here's how. The Inflation Reduction Act is made up of a bunch of different funding programs that will invest about $370 billion in environmental justice, climate action, and clean energy jobs. Let's start with the Home Rebate Program. Whether you own or you rent, there's money available for you to make your home more energy efficient. For example, if you're someone with low or moderate income, the program would provide you with upfront discounts for things like super efficient heating and cooling systems, water heaters, clothes dryers, stoves, and ovens. Okay, next up is the Clean School Bus Rebate Program. That's aimed at replacing existing school buses with cleaner zero-emission buses. That's a good thing because school bus exhaust has been linked to asthma, and cleaner air will reduce health risks for everyone. Okay, my last thing is that there are grants in the Climate Pollution Reduction Program to develop and implement climate action plans. So these plans will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and empower communities who are overburdened by pollution. So you can check out all these community-driven solutions here. Overall, the Inflation Reduction Act will put us on a path to cutting climate pollution 40% by 2030. Go to st.org/IRA to learn how to make sure your community is accessing this money. Let's build the better, safer, more sustainable world we know is possible. Oh, you should probably screenshot this.
All right. Thanks so much. We just wanted to get a little flavor of this while we get all of our folks on. I see there are hundreds of people tuning in tonight from all over the country. So we're so happy to be here. And again, go ahead and keep introducing yourself while I move forward some of the logistics for tonight. So again, my name is Rachel Mandelbaum. I'm a lead distributed organizer with the Sierra Club. Before we get started tonight, just a few reminders for our program. So you can communicate with us using the chat function, whether you are watching us on Facebook or YouTube. We'll do our best to answer you there. Closed captions should also be available. You can turn them on at the bottom of your screen. And this is a webinar, so which means you can hear me and the other speakers, but unfortunately, we won't be able to hear or see you tonight, but know that we're so excited to have all of your input in the comments. During our time together today, if you hear something that you're excited about, that resonates with you, we'd love for you to put a plus symbol in the chat or an exclamation point or an emoji, just something to let us know you're there and that you're listening. If you want to go ahead and try it out, you can go ahead and put a plus sign or something in the chat now and just let us know that you're there with us, you're following along. And we'll be dropping links in the chat as well, just to make sure we're communicating and sharing information with you. One more thing about the chat that we want to share is that it's for engagement, kindness, and questions only. We don't tolerate any sort of racism, misogyny, xenophobia, classism, transphobia, or hate of any kind. So while we don't expect that to come up today, we just want to let you know we will remove folks that exhibit that behavior on the chat. So on the call today, we're going to be focusing on two big pieces of legislation that so many of y'all worked to help us pass. The Inflation Reduction Act, which we'll call the IRA for short, and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the Infrastructure Act for short. It's a lot of acronyms, I know, but we're doing our best to keep it short and simple. So if you were involved in advocating for these bills at any stage, from back when it was called the Green New Deal or Build Back Better, to getting these bills passed in late 2022, please let us know in the chat. How did you get involved? What did you do? How did you help move this bill forward? We know it took thousands and thousands of people signing petitions, making phone calls, posting on social media, lobbying their members of Congress to help get these laws passed. So if that was you, please go ahead and share. We'd love to celebrate you and thank you for all the work you did with us. So passing this was just step one. Now we need to ensure that these programs are being fully and equitably implemented. So on this webinar tonight, we're going to highlight some stories of people in the Sierra Club already using these climate investments for their family and communities. Then we're going to close out with some next steps that you can plug into. So a round of thank yous for everyone who worked on this with us. A round of thank yous for all of you for being here tonight. And I'm going to pass it over to Ramon Cruz, our former national board president, to say a bit about where we are at this moment. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Great to be here with all of you today. And hello, everyone. You know, I'm Ramon Cruz, and up to this past summer, I was the president of the Sierra Club. For the last 3 years, I use pronouns he, him, his. And I'm biased. I'm biased, definitely biased towards clean energy. But I'm based in Canarsie Land, which is part of the greater Lenape territory, currently known as Brooklyn, New York. But I'm originally from Boriquen, which is the Taino name of the island of Puerto Rico. And, you know, I have worked on environmental policy issues throughout my career. So it was a privilege to represent this great organization, which, as you know, is the oldest and most influential environmental organization in the United States. And in that capacity, I was heavily involved with the, together with our great federal policy and federal legislative teams in Washington, D.C., pushing for many of the things that we will be discussing today that are part of the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bill. And of course, we didn't get everything that we wanted. In fact, there are a few things that, in that law that we did not like and that we have fought, in the past and will continue fighting, like oil extraction leases in the Gulf or in Alaska. But even with that, the amount of incentives for clean energy in that law are really remarkable and historic. So, we did something incredible. You all did something incredible. And, so I was there when President Biden signed last year the IRA into law and marking the passage of the single largest investment ever in our climate and our communities. And it's a combination of the IRA and the Infrastructure Act, directs roughly 1.55 trillion into over 400 different programs that together will chart a path to reducing emissions by 40% by the end of the decade. So, this puts us on the road to our commitments for the Paris Agreement. This massive federal investment has also spurred huge levels of private investments, and those efforts combined have already amounted to more than 210,000 new green energy jobs, created across the country since the IRA was signed. So only, in a short period, and that includes, a total of 388 new clean energy projects nationwide that amounts to more than $300 billion. So that is a huge win for our future, and a huge win for the economy. So the IRA and the Infrastructure Act are the means by which, we have the funding to change and to invest in the green new economy. And so now, even though these bills were passed over a year ago, many federal agencies are just beginning to release funding into the states. That takes some time to put all the parts together. So it is crucial that we continue to advocate for the money to be spent wisely and equitably in the states right away. These investments, will last years. So advocacy must continue every year for the foreseeable future, not only at the federal level, but especially in your own states, because also it depends. Each state will be different, will have a different political context. And so it's important that pressure continues. We had major news made today, for example, just a few short hours ago, when President Biden visited a farm in Minnesota to announce more than $5 billion in funding awarded to rural communities across the country for conservation, for clean energy improvements, for infrastructure, and for climate smart agriculture. This was funding provided in part by the IRA and the Infrastructure Act. And it reiterates that these laws aren't just going to benefit big cities or urban communities, so it's everyone, and a rising tide should lift all boats. And that includes rural communities, rural areas, farming communities, and those Americans whose lives often, center around good stewardship of the soil and water that they live on. So they're on the front lines of the fight against the climate crisis, and knowing that massive amount of funding provided by these laws will go to help our rural community leaders continue their important work, is welcome news. This is awesome, no? And especially for our chapters in those parts of the country. Now, now that this money is moving into the hands of the states, we have the power to shape how this money gets used. That's where you all come in. All across the country, Sierra Club chapters and volunteers are getting ready to harness the power of this legislation and get funding for state and municipalities that will transition us to a clean energy economy. So to seize that opportunity, the Sierra Club is launching teams called community advocates throughout the country to work on these projects. And we have identified a number of funding opportunities to focus on by lobbying local governments, state agencies, governors, municipalities, and other decision makers. So over the next few months, in-person events are happening all over the country to begin this work. So tonight is all about sharing some stories from the field on what these programs look like and how they can actually be used to change your community. Our speakers are going to highlight these programs and show what is possible. We hope you will be listening. We hope that you feel inspired to get involved wherever you are. Doesn't matter where in the country you are, you should do this. And you're welcome to put any questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can later in the call. So with that, I would like to introduce Becca Ashley, who's the lead organizer for energy and climate at the Sierra Club Utah chapter. So Becca, if you can take it. I'm not sure, I haven't been there. I know that there has been a lot of of things in the chat, but I hope I didn't miss something that I should. Yeah. But Becca,
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hi, folks. I'm Becca Ashley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a lead organizer at the Utah chapter, as Ramon mentioned. I'm based in Salt Lake City. So yeah, really excited to be here tonight. As Ramon mentioned, we have a historic opportunity to reduce pollution in our states. And my work has been focused on electrifying school bus fleets through the Infrastructure Act's Clean School Bus Program. So there's a ton of funding available. Again, this is a really exciting moment. And I'm looking forward to just sharing a little bit about our work in Utah and how we're supporting the implementation of this funding for school buses. So here in Utah, we are a supermajority red state. And so making progress on climate is undeniably challenging. But it's something that we're able to do with support and leadership from grassroots volunteers and grassroots organizing. I have seen in the past year since the Clean School Bus Fund launched that we can be successful when we really prioritize relationships in our cities, in our counties, and in our school districts. So through the Clean School Bus Program, which allocates $1 billion every year for school districts to replace diesel school buses with electric buses, we've really been able to deepen community relationships and open the doors for new volunteers to join us in our work. We have seen that K-12 schools, even though they're key players in climate solutions, they're often overlooked in climate action. And so schools actually make up the second largest form of public infrastructure in the United States. And when it comes to school transportation, school bus fleets represent the largest public transportation fleet in the country. So accounts for a huge amount of emissions. And so when we found out there would be this funding set aside for, transitioning school bus fleets to electric buses, we were really, really excited at the local level. And getting to support this implementation has shown me what's possible with the IRA and with the Infrastructure Act. So thanks to the Clean School Bus Program, all of the districts in our state and your state as well now have the opportunity to pursue school bus electrification and really lead on climate. In 2022, we launched an outreach campaign to get the word out about this program. We were able to distribute activist toolkits and really get the essential information out to advocates so that they could encourage their school districts to apply for electric school buses. We launched an action alert that targeted key districts. We were able to leverage, highlight information on social media and really circulate the news about the program and the opportunity for school districts to lead on climate action. And so that was a little bit of our strategy. We really leaned on our volunteer leaders to organize community meetings, engage other students, teachers, talk to fleet managers and school districts, and just get the word out about this program. By the end of 2022, excuse me, just getting over a cold. So by the end of 2022, we saw growing support for electric school buses in our state. So we had 12 school districts that applied for funding through the Clean School Bus Program. 2 of those districts were awarded funding. Both that were awarded funding were located in energy communities and rural communities. So the Uinta district and the Tintic district. And so it was really neat to see that this funding was able to support, moving to a cleaner mode of transportation in these areas. So the Uinta district, just for like a little more information, it stands or it's located in the heart of our state's largest gas producing region. And so it's a really inspiring example of what we're able to do with this funding and supporting more sustainable transportation in areas that have deep ties to fossil fuel. And so, yeah, I think before I wrap up, I just want to highlight, as Ramon mentioned, we have all of these events happening and kicking off around the country so that you can join us in this important work and see similar success in your state. Transportation is the second highest contributor of carbon emissions here in Utah. And so it just shows you how important it is to electrify our school bus fleets. And the Utah chapter is really excited to continue on with this work and support other activists in states around the country in doing this work as well. So on December 6th, we're hosting an in-person community event. We'll share more about the work we're doing with not only the Clean School Bus Program, but also the climate pollution reduction grants, and we'll highlight ways for you to join us. So we'll have someone add that registration link to the chat. And yeah, I hope to see folks on December 6th.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing all of that with us, Becca. Very excited about this program. And just like in Utah, chapters across the country are ready to lead on this kind of work. So, please keep it, coming. Share also some appreciations or an emoji in the chat to thank Becca for sharing about her work with the Utah chapter. So, and this is an example of one of the many ways that your community can use the funds from the Infrastructure Act. And chapters in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, for example, are already, having meetings on the calendar in November, in December, to launch Clean School Bus campaigns. But we need volunteers like you to join the work and make them a success. So if you're ready to transform your school bus system, sign up now in the chat. We'll follow up with the details of what's being planned in your community and how you can get involved. So everybody can get involved. Sign up now to let us know, you are in and ready to get this money into your community hands. And, no matter where you live, we are working to make the benefits of this legislation a reality. So please click the link in the chat to sign up and get involved. And now we'll hear from the Illinois chapter. So Carolyn, take it over with some news from Illinois.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Caroline. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the organizing director for the Illinois chapter. And I just want to share a little bit about how we've been doing community engagement around one portion of the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm sure many of you know this, but a thing that I really didn't process until recently is just that we are burning fossil fuels inside our homes, inside our buildings. We are burning fracked gas to heat our homes, to cook our food. Some of you might not if you have fancy and increasingly more accessible and less fancy appliances, but most of us do. And that has huge impacts on our health, on our pocketbook, because the price of gas fluctuates a lot and can be very expensive, as well as on our climate. The exciting thing is the Inflation Reduction Act has a ton of funds to help us start to transition our buildings off of using fracked gas for those things and into a future where we have everything electrified. And that is much better for our pocketbooks, for the climate, and for our health. And so we've been doing events here in Illinois because, one, we want to make sure that individuals know about the benefits that are available to them that they can use in their household. But also, we actually really need to push Illinois to pass legislation that will make it easier, that will make it so that we take advantage of these federal benefits. So we started actually in Chicago. We're working to get Chicago to implement policies that will make it so that Chicago does, in fact, take advantage of these benefits and puts us on a path to electrify our buildings. And then we're also in the process of starting to push the state of Illinois to do this. So we've had a few a number of events across Chicago, and we are just starting to do some of those events across Illinois. A lot of times we partner with decision makers when we're doing this. We've done a ton of town halls and community engagement events with aldermen. We hope to start doing it with legislators, because we want to both make sure individuals can access this, but then make sure that here in Illinois, we're a blue state, but we don't always do things right. We really need to push our decision makers to do their part so that Illinois can take advantage of these benefits, so that kids don't get asthma, so that we can have a livable planet, and so that we can reduce cost for consumers. Because right now, consumers in Illinois are paying way, way, way too much money just to burn fossil fuels in our homes. So that's a little bit about what we're up to and how we're using these events, both to share information with individuals, but also to keep advancing our agenda so we can take advantage of these bigger structural opportunities. And I'm going to pass it back to Ramon.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Caroline. Can I get some appreciation for Caroline in the chat, please? And while you do that, I'll continue saying, that there's right now about $8.8 billion in grant funding, out there for households to save money on energy bills, upgrade to clean energy equipment, and to improve energy efficiency, reduce indoor and outdoor pollution, and create workforce training programs. So, you are all are the key to accessing this funding. Across the country, we are gearing up to ensure state energy offices are developing programs that use the federal funding for everything Caroline mentioned, including whole home retrofits for low-income households. First, that prioritize Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities and other marginalized communities. So we'll be holding a training on how you can advocate to your state energy office later this month to create a robust home energy rebate program. So sign up to be a community advocate now, to hear about this training, or get invited to local events with your chapter. So like what is being planned in Illinois, we have put the link in the chat where you can sign up and have it, all over the country. And it's sc.org/advocate. Okay, again, sc.org/advocate. And so now we'll be hearing from Bobby Foley. Bobby is a heat pump installer who has been working with customers to understand how they can get discounts on energy efficient home upgrades and harness the benefits and incentives from the IRA for a healthier home. So, Bobby, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Ramon. My name is Bobby Foley. My pronouns are he, him. Very much appreciate being here with you on the Sierra Club. And I appreciate going after Caroline because I get to build on what she laid some groundwork for here. So I'm the head of sales for Elephant Energy in Colorado. So my team and I, we are on the ground helping homeowners scope out a heat pump and install and all that. If I have a slide I can show, I have a visual that might help. Awesome. I see it coming. Do you all see a slide? There it is. Okay. I've got 3 quick slides. I've got about 5 minutes, so it will be very high level, but I look forward to answering some questions in the comments later. But quickly, I want to touch on the benefits of switching to a heat pump, how a heat pump works. Let's make sure we all understand that. And then lastly, how a homeowner can stack rebates, as Ramon mentioned, to make electrification more affordable. So first, as you see here, there's a lot of reasons and benefits to a heat pump and a climate-friendly home. Know that a heat pump in almost every home, a furnace in every home, is the #1 fossil fuel user. So as we think about these benefits, the furnace is typically the #1 fossil fuel burner in each home. It's really important for us to know, too, everyone in this call, we're on the front line of this movement. So it's really important for all of us to know these benefits, not only for ourselves, but when we're out there talking with other homeowners. So as you can see on the screen, I'll hit them briefly. A cleaner planet is the main reason why all of us here, a heat pump and electric home, emit substantially less carbon, increased comfort. So when you pair a heat pump with weatherization, like insulation and air sealing, You get more consistent temperature control in your home. The third one I know everyone likes is saving money. Homeowners who've electrified with a heat pump and other electric appliances, as Caroline was talking about, save on average of $1,000 to $2,500 a year on energy bills, as studied by Rewiring America. The fourth one people don't think about a lot is it'll actually add value to your home. So Zillow did a study, and homes that have upgraded to heat pumps increased their home value by an average of about 4 to 7%. And then the last one that Caroline was touching on is just increased health and safety. We know burning fossil fuels in our home is dangerous. We've seen the studies linked to asthma. So getting your gas stove, getting your furnace out for a heat pump are going to help contribute to the health and safety of your home. So now we've all agreed on those benefits. I'd love to switch slides. Let's take a look at actually how a heat pump works. So I just got two simple visuals here. No, this is a ducted heat pump. I don't have time to go too deep into how it all works, but just know there is a ductless version. So if you as a homeowner, you don't have existing ductwork, that's okay. We still got a heat pump version for you. At the highest level, a heat pump works by actually moving heat from one place to the next. So it's not like a furnace was actually burning a fossil fuel to generate that heat. So you see this compressor on the left, the outdoor unit. In the winter, that's going to actually suck heat out of the air outside, move it to your indoor unit, which we have a picture of there on the right. And that's going to distribute heat up through your vents and into your home. So moving heat from outside to inside. Then think about the summer, because this also works for cooling. It's going to do the complete opposite. Your indoor unit, your air handler, is going to suck heat out of your home, move it to the outdoor unit, and get rid of it outside. So if anyone who kind of knows how an air conditioner works, a heat pump is essentially an air conditioner that can work in two directions. So that's the highest level about how it works. There's a lot of great YouTube videos if you go research. But what's really exciting about this is not only does heat pump not burn fossil fuels, but on average, it's about 300% more energy efficient than a furnace AC combo. So it's lowering both your carbon footprint and those utility bills. And just for fun, since I live in Colorado, that picture on the left is a heat pump in the snow to make my point that a heat pump can work in cold temperatures and can work below freezing temperatures. So lastly, if we can go one more slide. As Ramon mentioned, I want to highlight an example of how to stack rebates at different levels and make this cost effective. So this is an actual invoice that a customer here in Denver saw. Of course, I took out all their personal information, but I wanted to break down the upfront cost of a cold climate heat pump and then what that customer actually paid. So as you can see in that first line, the cost of this heat pump was about $20,000, just shy of it. However, we have 4 different levels of rebates and tax credits they will take advantage of. Excel, which is a local Denver utility, paid for $2,000 of that heat pump with a point of sale rebate. Then this customer lived in the city of Denver, and Denver pitched in for both the cold climate heat pump and some electrical work that was needed to make the switch from fossil fuel to electric. So both of those were point of sale. And then at the end of the year, as a tax credit, the state of Colorado has a tax credit program, and we have our federal tax credit that came from the IRA available to all customers, regardless of income level, for $2,000. So this customer, at the end of all those tax total incentives, ended up paying less than $10,000 for this cold climate heat pump. I'll also highlight that this is everything you see here is not income qualified, but we do have coming soon additional income qualified rebates with the Inflation Reduction Act. It is state by state, so definitely stay tuned to your local state. But we know that at some point next year, we'll be announced with even more money for those who need even more help installing a heat pump. So I hope this is a good high level. And again, I think the call to action for us on this call is this is a movement. We need people out there spreading the word that heat pumps work. This is one of the best investments you can make in your home. And I really look forward to answering some more questions later in the call.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Bobby. And this is for showing us, how possible this is. So, can I get a plus sign in the chat if you have made a switch to a heat pump, or if after tonight you're ready to look into it? So I hope we get many plus signs here in the chat. We need to make sure that heat pumps are an affordable solution for everyone, and ensure state energy offices prioritize funding retrofits in low-income and historically disadvantaged communities, primarily those that suffer from the highest energy burden and the consequences of historically racist housing policies. So, our chapters are launching campaigns on these issues, and we need you to make them a success. So, again, sign up to be a community advocate and get involved in creating strong home energy rebate programs. I'm now going to pass it back to Caroline, who is going to explain the specifics on how to sign up right now and get started. Then we will have some time for our presenters to answer your questions. So keep them coming in the chat. Caroline.
Yeah, hi everyone again. So we invited you here tonight, not just because we want to talk at you, but because we want to work with you. So I'm going to be sharing 3 ways that you can get involved. One is become a community advocate. I think we've put the link in the chat a number of times. We're going to put it in again. Go ahead and sign up. If you sign up, the first step is going to be to go to an event. If we have people showing up to these events, you're going to learn stuff. We're going to show public support for this. We're going to be building the movement to make sure that we actually implement well these groundbreaking bills. There's a ton of really exciting events happening all across the country. I know here in Illinois, we have another one of our building electrification town halls coming up. In Boston, they're going to be doing a hot cocoa and letter writing event about electric school buses. And I have a list here. I'm forgetting all the things. In Monrovia, California, the Angeles chapter is doing a tour of a rooftop solar installation. So that sounds very fun. If you live in Southern California, that seems like a thing that's worthwhile to go to. And I also realized we have a really big country. There might not be an event that's convenient for you to go to. Good news, there's going to be a virtual event. If you really liked what Bobby had to share about ways that we can electrify homes, you can dive into it on November 29th. There's going to be a training about how we can use these home energy rebates in your state to make sure that you can take advantage of them. So go ahead and sign up to become a community advocate. That way you'll learn about an event, whether you can join us virtually or in person. That is very key. So that's number 1, community advocate. Number 2, you can join our texting team. We have a nationwide texting team. It's really fun. You get to go click, 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 and spread the message to a lot of people, and they respond, and you can have conversations with them. So if you want to join the texting team, that's another thing you can do. And then the final thing is we have a video about the IRA. We want to spread the news. We want to make sure that we win this win and show all of the incredible benefits that are going to be coming to us and make sure people know that we need to be working to take advantage of those. So please share that video. Those are the 3 things you can do. Attend an event, join our texting team, and share the video. I think that was most of what I had to say. If I missed anything, please jump in, and I'm going to pass it back to Ramon.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Caroline. And please go and sign up to be a community advocate right now. So now I'm going to transition, us to a Q&A. And before we do that, I want to encourage people to use the chat function to add additional questions. And if we don't get to every question tonight, we will have some follow-up materials in the future webinars. We can hopefully cover your specific question. So with that, let's start with a question about electric buses. So Becca, back to you. How expensive are electric buses compared to a traditional bus?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they're quite more expensive. If you're just looking at the initial cost, but it's really important to look at the total cost of ownership. And then also just keep in mind that there is this record funding available to offset that cost. So if you're looking at operating like a regular school bus, a diesel bus, that can transport somewhere from like 50 to 70 kids, that diesel bus is probably going to cost around $100,000. Whereas an electric version of that could be upwards of $300,000 to $400,000. So you'll see there's that big difference. But again, with these programs, we can offset those costs. And the Clean School Bus program, which we mentioned earlier, districts are able to get up to, I think it's $345,000 per bus. There's also some tax credits through the IRA that can continue to offset that. And I've talked to districts that have worked with their state to help with that cost as well, and haven't had any expense to the district. The last thing I'll add on that too that's really important to mention is that with electric school buses, you have significantly less maintenance cost. And then also you're not paying for fuel, right? So you'll save thousands of dollars a year per bus just through that, maintenance and fuel savings.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Becca. All right. So let's move to answer, more questions about heat pumps. So, Bobby, there was a question in the chat, about if heat pumps, how do they work in cold climates? And the person that shared this question goes on to say that they thought they only worked in warmer climates. So, Bobby, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I was not surprised to see that. That seemed to be the most common question that came through in the comments was, how does it work in cold climate? Because I feel like that's the number one myth we're busting out there on the front lines with heat pumps. The answer is yes. Cold climate heat pumps are here. The technology works. I'll tell you that we've installed heat pumps in Colorado that work down to negative 23 degrees Fahrenheit. And without getting too technical, the reason that works is the line set runs that the refrigerant, it has a thicker line set. So it allows for more compressed and expanded air to move that heat. So it has the ability to take heat out of your cold air, even when it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So again, there's a lot of great information out there. Reach out to me if you want to hear more about it. But we've installed hundreds of cold climate heat pumps in Colorado with no gas backups, and our customers have done great through the past few winters. So hopefully that at least starts to address the question of how the cold climate heat pump can work. And just, again, trying to arm this community here, I'll kind of leave you with 2 points around the cold climate heat pump. So first, they're here, they work. There will be HVAC technicians who've been working in furnaces for a long time and try to tell you they don't work. They do. The second is, if you live in a cold climate, make sure you're getting a cold climate heat pump. There's ratings out there with NEEP that will tell you how well rated and efficient these heat pumps are, down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a key number to make sure you're truly getting a cold climate heat pump. So again, they work in your area, but let's make sure you get the right one installed for you and all of your neighbors.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Bobby, for answering to Susan and to many others that have questions about that. And since we're talking about our homes, let's move to Caroline to talk about induction cook stoves. So the questions we got from folks was, can I use any cookware with an induction cook stove, or do I need new pots and pans? Caroline.
I'm pretty sure you do need new pots and pans. Is this it, Bobby? Do you do induction stoves, or do you just do heat pumps? Are you more of an expert here than I am?
We do full home electrification, so we'll do induction stoves and all stuff. But
awesome. Can you speak to this?
Say that one more time. I was looking at a few comments.
When you get an induction stove, you need to buy new pans, right?
Not necessarily. We were actually fortunate. We were able to, when my wife and I bought our induction stove, our previous pans did still work. It's a matter about the non-stick surface, and it has to be magnetic because the induction stove's magnetic. So we found most homeowners are actually okay.
Great news. And, if you get rid of your old ones, be sure to recycle them. So a quick follow-up on that, on the gas stoves, we have seen that gas stoves become the rallying cry of several climate deniers. And so removing climate deniers from the equation, what selling points would you make to an individual that loves their gas stove and expresses some reservation about moving into induction cooking. I don't know if Caroline or
Bobby, do you want to take that? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing some comments coming through, but just this transition, there's so many benefits to it. With they're not hot like old stoves, so they're safer to the touch with children. I live in Colorado, where it takes a really long time to boil water. It is so much faster with induction cooking. So with this transition, I mean, there's all the research out there with health and safety. Typically, what I'm telling homeowners is this is very different than the old electric coil stoves we used to cook on. So the induction stove movement, people who deny and say they're stuck on their gas stove, I always ask them, have you cooked on an induction stove yet?
Interesting. Great. So let's see. We'll have probably for another 2 questions or so. Let's move back to Becca. For a great question on bus range. Specifically, this person says, I live in a rural community. Will an electric bus have enough range to safely pick up and drop off all the kids on a traditional bus route?
Yeah, great question. So it depends on the range or the length of the bus route. But right now, current electric bus models, they have between 100 and 210 miles of range. And that's more than enough to cover most bus routes. The Uinta School District here in Utah, they received 10 electric school buses in last year's Clean School Bus program. And they're a rural district. And they have all 10 electric buses on the road, and they use them for their regular routes. They haven't had any issues. So yeah, you really want to, as fleet managers, look at the route and do some planning. But with the technology that we have right now, we're seeing rural districts around the country be able to use the technology. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, definitely it does. Thanks so much, Becca. And let's see. So to close out our Q&A, let's go back to a question for Bobby. Especially as many of us are seeking to electrify our homes, with this in mind, is it true that a heat pump can be used to heat water and replace a water heater?
Absolutely. So I'll use a personal example on this one. My wife and I, we bought our first home together about a year ago in Denver. It was an all gas house, and we're actually excited about that because we said, yes, we're going to take the gas out of this house, take one gas house off the market. The first 2 things we did was induction stove and a heat pump water heater. And the reason we went the heat pump water heater is, one, the water heater was old that was there, an old gas water heater, but the return on investment is one of the fastest you can make on electrifying that appliance. So from the manufacturer, the average across the US gas water heater costs about $300 some a year to run, and a heat pump water heater is about $120 a year to run. So significantly more efficient in savings. And how it works is by taking some ambient heat from the air around it and slowly and efficiently pulling it into your water tank. So you've got the ability to heat your water that way. And let's say you take a few hot showers in a row, you deplete that water tank. You also have electric resistance backup to get it back up quickly. So they call them the hybrid heat pump water heater tanks, but they're incredibly efficient. And like all the heat pump numbers we ran through, there's a ton of rebates out there for them from the utility companies, local, state, and also federal tax credits through the IRA. So sometimes I call it the gateway home electrification project. It's a great one to get someone started electrifying their home. And then when they love their heat pump water heater, then we go on to the next project.
Great. Thanks, Bobby. And thank you all. Thanks to all our speakers for sharing this exciting work that you're all working on. So please give them a round of applause in the chat by using the plus sign, the applause sign. We have, I want to remind people, we have grabbed your question, and we'll share in the follow-up materials. So again, applause, love emojis. Thank you, everyone. who joined us tonight, and thank you to our panelists. Again, the ways that we're asking you to take action tonight are the following: commit to becoming a community advocate and harness funds from the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bill for your community, for your state. Help us with that. Number 2, join the national texting team to share the word about the opportunities that we have, that are out there. And number 3, share the latest video on these landmark bills and how they can aid a transition to clean energy. You have many ways to share this. Please do so. And, attending your local event is the first step to connecting with your chapter and how to take action, how to get involved. You will learn how to support implementation, whether it's working alongside local businesses or schools to apply for grants, spreading awareness about rebates, or holding elected officials accountable about this. You will organize with others in your community and will be supported by your chapter. So without people like you advocating for these programs, your state will miss out in a big way on these opportunities. So, ready to join this community advocates program? I hope so. So please take a minute now and sign up at the link in the chat. And when you are done, put an exclamation mark or plus sign in the chat, or add them if you have already signed up. So the link again is http dot //sc.org/advocate. Okay, so please do so. The link is in the chat. We're so glad, that you have spent time with us today, and that many of you just committed to a next step to deepen your activism and engagement with the Sierra Club, and with climate action. We need you all to be on board with this, and that you also bring them in all your conversations with your friends. Bring them on as well. We need everybody here. Doesn't matter where you are in the country, what your background is, your age. We need everybody here. So we have heard from so many amazing people about how they have taken action in large and small ways, and that's really what movements are about. All of us using our voices and our votes and our connections to make change happen and move us all towards justice. So remember, this is a people-powered movement. So we need you all, and we need to bring for you to bring your friends into this. So bye to all of you. I hope we'll continue to be talking about this and continue engaging. So I think we're complete for today, and we'll say goodbye now, right? Anybody else wants to say anything, or at least wave goodbye?
Thank you all.
Thank you.